Hey, Shalom Akim, Yahweh, Bashem, Yahweh Shai, Bashem, Kwakadash, double honors and salutations to the elders and apostles of Grimstone rule well, and to the hopeful elect throughout the four corners of the earth, doing the will of Hamashiach Yahweh Shai in sincerity and truth in this last and time. Yeah, so you see that, the Centurions in Esau's government are revolting by passing up, by pushing forth a lawsuit. This is in Canada. So you could imagine, when actions like this begin to pick up steam, all right, and they are talking about, the legitimacy of all this state of emergency. And, they basically pissed off, man. So that's all it takes, man. It's just a little spark. All right. And you know what I always say: there is no fire without smoke. So it's just the beginning. And when these politicians see all these police officers and the police union and the firemen and all that, so, turn against the system and the EMTs too. Oh boy, then they'll have to crack down hard and play with their money. Yeah, and the same thing, the same thing was discussed here in Babylon. I'm talking about Virginia, when you have folks, say, these politicians putting in writing that, if you have officers that don't want to enforce state law, that means they're gonna be, be without pay and all that stuff. That's why these Edomites, they don't play around when it comes to having their swords in their household. All right. So I'm gonna read this real quick, and it just shows you that the Lord is putting a crack in the house of Edom. All right, and the house of Israel, shall arise. Okay, and then it says, hand in your badges. That's exactly what, this sucker that wrote this article, Michelle Mandel, is trying to tell these officers, hand in your badges. Freedom of expression is one thing, but this small group of Ontario police officers has just launched a truly wacky and disturbing charter challenge to the current C-19 Emergency Act measures that they are sworn to enforce. Yeah, so that's what they want them to do. They want the officers to enforce the will of the politicians. And you already know this shamdemic is just it's nerve-wracking, man. That's put a lot of people in tight spots. Has created a stressful environment for people to live in, while they look at all these politicians, having the blast of their life. All right, so it's gonna get ugly. It's gonna get ugly, and that's why Isaiah 19 has to happen. The Egyptian against Egyptian. So it says, disagreement with government action is perfectly legal, of course, but not only are they challenging the law, they've based it on a cocktail of anti-lockdown, anti-vax, anti-mask, anti-science drivel that is alarming, coming from public servants we employ. Yeah, so that's what they always want to say, man. Because they only see the corruption, within the ranks and in the government and all this private corporations. Then they understand what's going on, and they see the body of lies that Esau's always trying to drown the people in. So you're always gonna have some Edomites among them that are gonna stand up, because this is just what you call it, man, a portion of the so-called silent majority, because when push comes to shove, oh boy, a lot of these politicians will have to go into hiding when the man that they are pushing out there to go collect revenue, to go enforce stop and frisk, enforce all these code violations and zoning violations, have a change of heart and realize he can no longer handle the pressure, and that the so-called government officials are not really providing the necessities for them to have a stable life. What do you think is going to happen? So that's why I'm going to read this precept real quick, and the Lord just has a way of making mockery of these so-called politicians. They're going to rule over the people and think it's just going to be without a cost. And then Isaiah chapter 19 verse 2 says, "And I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians, and they shall fight, everyone against his brother, and everyone against his neighbor, city against city, and kingdom against kingdom." Alright, so these cups are already divided against each other anyway, and it's going to become more evident. Alright, and verse 3 also says, "And the spirit of Egypt shall fail in the midst thereof, and I will destroy the counsel thereof. And they shall seek to the idols, and to the charmers, and to them that have familiar spirits, and to the wizards." And, it's just going to be one domino falling after the other. Alright, that's why they say little have to resort to their to their last gambit, their ace in the hole and all that stuff, So they're gonna have to turn society upside down by, unleashing more plagues on the people. All right. So just imagine, man, when there's so much turmoil and the so-called first responders don't want to respond anymore, and that's why you have a increase in background checks for weapons purchases, man. Even ammunition sales, and people are just preparing. And folks know that an unjust law is not a law that can be enforced anymore because people have their limits. Okay. And then it says Toronto Police Sergeant Julie Evans of the 42nd Division and Sergeant Greg Boltiansky of the 32nd Division are among the 15 GTA police officers who claim having to enforce the province's C-19 measures violate their charter right. No, actually, it's their job. Yeah, they might say it's their job, but I don't see no politician going out there to do that. Even all these so-called, what you like to call them, security officers, man, it's just, after a while, it becomes a difficult job when you have to deal with an unruly, individual. I know that these politicians you see on the news, they don't have to deal with that, man. That's why they have their own security detail. All right, that's why they deal. They have contracts with all these, the private security firms. So that's why it's really necessary, to pay attention to what these Centurions are talking about. When they talk about Blue Lives Matter, they mean it wholeheartedly. And they're gonna start putting those politicians on notice, man, when they don't respond in time, to incidents anymore. Then you understand, it's just what they say. A chain is only as strong as its weakest link. So that's what's gonna happen, man. It's gonna crumble. The system's gonna crumble anyway. So it says it's hardly surprising that Evans and Botiansky are two of the named applicants. They are the off-duty officers who made headlines recently when they were ticketed by Elmer police for attending the Church of God and violating Ontario's stay-at-home order. Yeah, so when you have all these elements of tyranny to hold the people hostage, you're always going to have a situation where the powers that be are going to be challenged. And hey, it's going to get ugly anyway. So always remember, man, these Centurions, they're just waiting. They're just waiting for that green light, to walk off the job, man. They're waiting on that green light, man. And I understand that when 911 is no longer important, people are just going to be on their own, then you're going to understand that these politicians, they're just there as window dressers, and, it's really, really important, man, that our people, you know, that we trust in the name of the Lord. All right, so that's why I'm going to read this precept real quick. So this is going to be from the book of Psalms chapter 20 verse 7. Some trust in chariots and some in horses, but we will remember the name of the Lord Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahushai Ba'ashem HaKadash, our power. All right, that's one of my favorite precepts. Okay, Psalms chapter 20 verse 7. Some trust in chariots and some in horses, but we will remember the name of the Lord our power, Yahweh. All right, Shalom.